Amendment number 8, printed in Part A of House Report number 114-551, offered by Ms. Kuster of New Hampshire.
Pursuant to House Resolution 720, the gentlewoman from New Hampshire, Ms. Kuster, and a member opposed each will control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentlelady from New Hampshire.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The underlying bill before us authorizes the creation of an interagency task force to combat the opioid epidemic. And I want to commend the gentlelady from Indiana and our colleague from Massachusetts, Mr. Kennedy, for their hard work on this issue. A small step, this important legislation will make it easier to tackle this crisis in a holistic way that addresses all angles of the crisis, including law enforcement, education and prevention, and most importantly, treatment and lifelong recovery. I thank Congressman Brooks and Congressman Kennedy for their great work on this bill, as well as the leadership of the chair and the ranking member. In fact, a similar provision of this legislation was included in the Stop Abuse Act that I introduced with my colleague, Mr. Ginta, last year. Today, he has joined me in introducing this important bipartisan amendment that will further improve the scope of the task force effort. In New Hampshire and across the country, 4 out of every 5 heroin users start out with prescription opioid medication. Last year, more than 25,000 people died across this country from overdoses on prescription drugs. There are complex reasons why we have seen such a dramatic rise in prescription drug misuse, but one of the causes that we must examine more closely is prescribing practices and overprescribing. I recently joined my colleague, Congressman Mooney of West Virginia, in introducing legislation that would address this problem. This amendment with Mr. Ginta would help to shine more light on prescription drug misuse by requiring this task force to research addiction trends in communities with high rates of prescription drug misuse and overdoses. This research will be invaluable in the effort to identify why this crisis is hitting certain regions of our country particularly hard, and in identifying further potential corrections to prescribing practices that can be made. I thank my colleagues for taking out such important legislation this week. I urge support for our amendment, and I now yield 2 minutes of my time to my colleague from New Hampshire, Congressman Ginta.
The gentleman from New Hampshire is recognized for 2 minutes.